here. George is joining us from Barcelona, I believe, today. He's one of the great brokers that works with Flippa. He's sold a number of businesses with us in the past. I know he's talking today about a really exciting business that has sort of cell phone accessories for your car, something we all probably use these days. But anyhow, he knows much more about it than I do. So George, how you going?
Well, thank you for the intro and the platform today. Magnet, very interesting business, and I'll get straight into it. So I'll quickly put my my screen up. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this is a very interesting business. It's one of the leaders in the niche, and it's actually one of the businesses, one of the leaders in the niche that actually is verified on a few platforms. But it's got an interesting story, and well, let's get straight into it. So first things first is the brand is about 2.5 years old. And like I said, it's one of the best known brands in the niche. The brand has actually a very large following, which is, not common for a niche that is quite popular, let's say. So it's got around 175,000 followers on Instagram. It's verified on Instagram and verified on Facebook. It's got during the times that it's been in full production, the business has been in full swing. The marketing is diversified, simplified logistics with the supply in China, a 3PL in the US, and a proven record of success in marketing. But let's get a bit further into the details. So some of the key financials. So in 2018, I think that's a typo there. The top one's 2018's revenue. So it was roughly 2,700,000 USD. And you can see in the graph just at the bottom, this is sales over time. So in 2018 had a great run. In 2019, a little bit lower, 2.2 million. But also a good run with big Q4s in both years. And the average monthly revenue is around $200,000 US, and the monthly net profit margin is around 15% over the life of the business. At the moment, it currently sits at around 10%. But yeah, over the lifetime of the business, it's done roughly $5 million. Now, of course, the biggest thing to note is the decline over the last few months. And you'll see that the traffic and so on, and that is something I'll get into in the next slide when it comes to traffic and data, basically. I'll just make this so you might be able to see the chart a bit better. So the site conversion rate is at a 2.86, which is reasonably good. An AOV of $53.3 US, a return to customer rate of around 5%, which is healthy, very healthy for this niche. It is mainly a US-based business, so most of the customers come from the US, with quite small portions coming from UK, Canada, Australia, and other negligible countries, essentially. So the marketing channel is actually quite diverse when the business was in full swing. Facebook ads was the biggest contributor to marketing. Google ads, even Snapchat ads, Pinterest, native ads, and influencer marketing were all used. ROAS on Facebook, Google ads, and Bing were all reasonably good. Now, the reason why, I'll just go back a slide. Just go back. So the reason why there has been a dip in the last 3 months, one of the seller of the business had, with one of his other businesses, his Facebook page got taken down. So all his Facebook pages got taken down. So he basically couldn't run ads through this Facebook page here. So for him, that was one of the contributing factors actually to why he wanted to sell. So for him, he's built this over 2.5 years, did a great job up until basically end of Q4. And that's when he said, look, I just want to kind of go into something new. He's more focused on building businesses. But yeah, so he's essentially kind of fell out of love with the business. And then the Facebook page got taken down. But again, for a buyer, they could just connect a new business account, a new Facebook account, connect the Instagram page, and then they can take it from there. So for a buyer, it's in a very good position, basically. And especially for the price that the business is at, you'll essentially need to connect a new Facebook page or Facebook business account, and then start running ads again. But I'll get a bit into the opportunities in one of the next slides. So in terms of operations, so there are no full-time or part-time employees, they're all contractors. So there's a contractor who is the web developer, there's an accountant, there's a content creator, which accounts for a lot of the success on Instagram. There's a Google Ads agency that was running ads when business was in full swing, same with Facebook ads. There is a customer service agent and a fulfillment center, of course, that is working on the business and within the business now to keep all the engines running. In terms of the supply chain, so there's only ever been one supplier coming from China, and they have an extremely strong relationship that's been over 3 years. They've the sellers paid over $2 million in products, so a really, really strong relationship there. They do custom packaging. They do great. One of the strengths actually in this business is the shipping times that this supplier provides. So a lot of most of the stock kept on hand is actually quite minimal to lower risk. So, and that's because they can actually ship inventory in less than 5 days. And I think I have in one of the next slides, but inventory at the moment is only around $18,000, which can, for other businesses around the same size, would be much bigger. But that's the strength with this supplier. Now, buyer opportunity. So as I mentioned, any buyer would have to connect another Facebook page and Facebook Business Manager so that you can get all the ads back up and running, basically. I mean, that's one thing that the seller, isn't able to do, and for him to spend so much more time on the business and do a whole bunch of other stuff to get that up and running, it's not something he's willing to do with all the other business ventures and considering his heart really isn't with his business. So there's a big opportunity there for a buyer. So connecting a new business manager, restarting all the existing marketing campaigns, and then start selling much more on Amazon, getting a retail distribution deal, and then actually adopting more of a subscription model for these products, which a lot of other businesses and other actually quite comparable businesses in this niche are doing as well. So that's the business, that's the URL, and the valuation at the moment is around $200,000 US, and as I mentioned, it's about $18,000 in stock. And yeah, that's magnet mount. The listing is on Flipper, like Ben mentioned, and yeah, that's magnet mount.
Wow, it's quite a story you've got there. Sounds like a really great business. I love what they're selling. We'll bring in Blake here, see if we can kind of dive a little bit deeper into what the magnet mount is going on. How you going, Blake?
Thanks, Ben. Thank you, George. Appreciate that. George, just for all of the listeners out there, for those on live and for those who will join at a later date, could you just articulate again the product? What is it that is actually sold, and what are the top selling products within that range?
Yeah, absolutely. So the store itself sells so phone accessories, car mounts for phones. So a lot of the most popular products are so magnetic mounts. You mount it in your car, and then your phone automatically connects with a magnet. So you would sell the case for the phone and the mount for the car, and it would automatically charge and connect to the car, basically.
Okay, great.
So, yeah.
Thank you. The average order value at $53 is quite high for an e-commerce site, so that's fantastic to hear. Thank you for that detail. As you've pointed out, it looks like the current owner has, I suppose, per the listing itself, lost interest in the business, has other business interests, and has therefore seen advertising expenses dry up. And as a result, customer acquisition has dried up, and therefore the revenue performance and the financial performance of the business has dried up a little bit over the last couple of months. At its peak through, it looks like December was a peak month, obviously through the Christmas and holiday period. And prior to that, looking at the listing on Flipper right now, it looks like prior to that, peak months were around October and November. What percentage of earnings were as a result of paid marketing? Is that some data that you have available now? And if not, no problem, we can add that to the listing.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I think I had it on the traffic and data. So in terms of traffic, that I don't have the exact sales figure for that. But I do have, just on the traffic and data slide, I did have social did account for about 50% of the traffic, and paid search was about 16%, and then direct was about 30%. So I can put a bit more of that of those details and those figures on the comment section of the listing on Flipper. But yeah, so it's a bit varied, and right now, where there's basically little to no ad spend compared to, let's say, Q4 last year, it would vary a lot as well. But I'll put that all in the listing as well.
Okay, thank you for that. And we've got a really, I guess, obvious question from one of our listeners today, who asks about the valuation on the business, and obviously how that valuation relates to the net profit performance of the company. So the question specifically relates to overall profitability of the business prior 12 months, which looks to be reported at about $400,000. And then obviously the valuation of $200K. Now, I don't want to take words out of your mouth, but is it such that the business over the last few months has been neglected such that the valuation has been impacted? How do you talk to the valuation versus net profit performance of the business over a prior 12-month period?
Yeah, no, look, that's a reality that the seller's aware of. The last few months, let's say, for example, the seller came to me end of Q4 last year, said, look, we just ran into some Facebook ads issues, let's sell it now. The valuation would probably be more at a 2.5, 3 multiple. But that's, the net profit of 2019 was roughly 250K. So we might have been looking at a $500,000, 700K business. But, we're in April now. We're in May now. And, there's been those bad few months. We know that we have to, the buyer would have to connect a new Facebook page and start everything back up. And that would, require ad costs, ad spend, sorry. So, the seller isn't delusional in terms of where the business is right now and what it requires from the buyer. And that was taken into account with the valuation. Like I said, 3 months, if we listed it 3-4 months ago, different story. But yes, the seller is definitely aware of that. And so it did make a big part in the valuation.
Okay, fantastic, George. And Brad, who did ask that question, thank you for your question. Check out the business there. The prior 3 months, the business did lose $34,000, which has obviously materially impacted the valuation of the business. Prior 9 months, there was obviously some very significant and strong performance, particularly through the September to December period. So that should help you to understand that valuation a little bit further. All right, George. Well, thank you so much. Thank you very much for a great presentation. Looks like Magnet Mount is a really, really good business. It's in an evergreen industry. Phone and car accessories aren't going anywhere. Despite what we may all go through, it's likely that's a niche that continues. It's a 2-year-old e-commerce business, so it's got some history that can be really well analysed by potential buyers. Looks like it's got some really, really strong geographic coverage too, predominantly out of the United States, but some good coverage globally, which is always nice to see. So thanks for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you for the webinar.